Think about the last argument you had with someone you love.
Oh, we all have that one fresh in our minds.
Right. You know the exact one. Maybe it started over something just completely trivial, like a sink full of dirty
What's
dishes.
the specific tone of voice?
Yes, or maybe a text message that was left unread for just, a little too long.
And suddenly you are both totally triggered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're both completely defensive.
Yeah.
And despite sitting right there in the same room, you feel like you are just miles apart.
It's a terrible feeling.
It really is. So what if you could map out the precise, invisible dance that caused that fight and pretty much every fight you ever have in under 5 minutes?
That is the promise we are looking at today.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today we are immersing ourselves in a complete experience guide for something called the Empathi quiz.
Created by couples therapist Figs O'Sullivan.
Right. And it is entirely designed to decode your relationship. By the end of our time together today, you are going to understand your own specific conflict style, a concept known as the waltz of pain, and how artificial intelligence is stepping into the role of a hyper-personalized relationship coach.
It really is a profound premise to explore. Because, we all have these repeating negative cycles in our romantic lives. But in the heat of the moment, they just feel like absolute chaos.
Total chaos.
We just think, oh, here we go again. Why are we fighting about the dishwasher? But this guide reveals how highly structured that chaos actually is, and more importantly, how predictable it is once you know what to look for.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I want to be very clear right out of the gate about what this is not.
Yeah, that's an important distinction.
If you are sitting there thinking this is just, another generic internet personality quiz to find out what kind of pizza topping you are.
Or what kind of bread you are.
Right, or like a superficial test to find your love language, you can throw that idea right out the window. This operates on an entirely different level.
We are looking at an assessment deeply grounded in emotionally focused therapy, or EFT, as well as attachment theory.
Which is pretty heavy psychological stuff.
It is. To put that simply, EFT is a framework that looks at our adult relationships through the lens of how we bonded and sought safety when we were children.
Right.
And the guide explicitly states that this 5-minute digital quiz captures what a trained couples therapist would normally take several full intensive sessions to map out.
That's a bold claim.
It is. It identifies your specific triggers, your protective behaviors, your deepest underlying vulnerabilities, and the often painful stories you tell yourself about who you are when you are in love.
So basically, how we learn to seek safety when we're little dictates how we fight when we are adults.
Exactly.
And this quiz is doing all that heavy-duty therapeutic lifting, but through a totally streamlined digital experience.
It strips away all the background noise. It focuses purely on the emotional architecture of how you love, how you fight, and perhaps most importantly, how you protect yourself when you feel your connection is threatened.
Let's walk through exactly how it pulls that off, because the structure of the quiz itself, the actual descent into the 13 questions is just brilliant.
It's very well designed.
It starts with a gatekeeper. Step 1, question 1, is a single statement you have to react to. It says, my relationship is important to me.
And your options are no, yes, or hell yes.
Setting the stakes immediately.
It's a clever design choice. If you happen to click no, the system gives you a gentle redirect. It notes you might be in the wrong place for this specific kind of work.
Which makes sense. You have to want to do the work.
Right. But if you say yes or hell yes, Figs O'Sullivan's voice comes through the text, welcoming you to the hard work of making your relationship brilliant. From there, you enter your name, your partner's name, and your pronouns, setting the stage for the intense personalization that follows.
Once you are past that gatekeeper, we drop into the actual scenarios.
What's fascinating here is the deliberate, progressive structure of the inquiry. It doesn't just throw random, disconnected relationship scenarios at you.
It's a cascade.
Yes, a very intentional cascade. It starts right at the surface with what feels good and safe, and then it deliberately moves you down, step by step, into the deepest, most heavily guarded parts of who you are. Every single answer builds the foundation for the one before it.
So question 1 asks you to pick 2 connection feelings. Things like feeling loved, accepted, seen, or emotionally safe.
It is essentially asking, what is your emotional oxygen?
What do you need to breathe in this relationship?
Identifying that emotional North Star is crucial. According to this framework, everything that goes wrong in a relationship, every slammed door, every cold shoulder, is ultimately just a misguided, desperate attempt to get back to those specific feelings of connection.
Which brings us to questions 2, 3, and 4, which the guide calls mapping the waltz of pain.
This is where it gets real.
Yeah. Let's use our earlier dishwasher example. Question 2 asks how you see your partner when you are disconnected. Maybe you see them as withdrawn or critical or constantly defensive.
So you see the dishes, and you perceive your partner as careless or dismissive.
Right. Question 3 asks how that perception makes you feel. Angry, anxious, disappointed. These are what the guide calls your surface alarm emotions.
The immediate reaction.
And finally, question 4 asks what you actually do about it. Do you criticize them? Do you shut down and walk away? Do you try to aggressively fix it?
In those 3 questions, the quiz has successfully mapped your half of the dance. That is the waltz.
Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Step 1 is your perception of your partner. Step 2 is your alarm emotion ringing in your head. And step 3 is your external protective behavior.
And the disconnect is that your partner doesn't usually see step 2.
Exactly. The vital disconnect in almost every relationship is that your partner doesn't usually see your internal alarm emotion. They only see your protective behavior. They don't see that you feel anxious or hurt. They just see you criticizing them about a plate.
Wow.
And that protective behavior is what they react to.
It is a profound realization when you see it laid out clearly like that. And just as things start getting a little intense, a little heavy for the user taking the quiz, the system provides this beautiful interstitial moment.
The Rumi quote.
Yes. A quote from the poet Rumi appears entirely alone on the screen. It says, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there."
It functions as an emotional rest stop to remind you that you aren't being judged.
Which is so needed right then.
A pause is cognitively necessary at this stage. Answering 13 intense questions about your deepest relational flaws is taxing.
It's exhausting.
That quote shifts the user out of a binary mindset of, I am right and my partner is wrong. It prepares them for the next set of questions. Questions 5 through 8, which force you to uncover the actual wound driving the entire waltz.
So question 5 asks what you wish you felt when you're stuck. But question 6 really digs under the floorboards.
It asks what you feel deep down inside when you don't get those desired feelings.
And the options here are heavy, feeling helpless, sad, scared, or totally abandoned.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because question 7 forces you to look at your negative self-view.
That's a tough one.
When you feel that deep pain, how do you see yourself in the mirror? Do you feel needy, broken, like you are too much, or maybe not enough?
And then question 8 introduces the shame layer, the projected perception. It asks how you imagine your partner sees you in those absolute worst moments.
This specific sequence reveals the core therapeutic insight of the entire Empathi framework.
Vulnerability always comes before reactivity. Even if you don't feel it in the heat of a fight, the wound is there before the alarm bell ever rings. Your anger, your frustration, or your coldness is just the bodyguard standing in front of that deeper feeling of being scared or alone.
That bodyguard analogy makes so much sense. So the quiz finishes up with questions 9 through 13, which are essentially A-B scenarios to classify your overall conflict style.
You end up falling into one of 2 major camps.
Right. You are either a pursuer, affectionately called a relentless lover, or you are a withdrawer, known as a reluctant lover.
The relentless lover reaches for connection when they are scared. They want to fix the issue right now, talk it out immediately.
But sometimes they do it so aggressively it looks like an attack.
Precisely. The reluctant lover, on the other hand, retreats to find safety when they are scared. They need to process internally and calm the waters. But they retreat so totally, it often looks like abandonment to their partner.
I have to admit, if I am in the middle of a heated argument, I don't know if I want to be told my inner conflict style is acting up.
Nobody does.
But here is where the Empathi experience completely shifts gears from clinical to kind of adorable.
The creatures.
Yes. When you finish the quiz, the system assigns you a creature. If you're a pursuer, maybe you get Joe, a little blue animated monster. If you're a withdrawer, you get Pat.
Externalizing the behavior serves a vital psychological function here.
How so?
Taking a deeply ingrained protective habit like shutting down or yelling and turning it into a friendly animated creature fundamentally changes how your brain processes the information.
It makes it less personal.
It shifts your emotional state from clinical and shameful to friendly and curious. It is significantly easier to say to your partner, hey, my creature Pat is freezing up right now, than it is to admit I am emotionally withdrawing from you because I'm terrified of being rejected.
That makes total sense. It gives couples a shared, non-threatening language.
Exactly.
So you finish the quiz, you meet your creature, and you immediately receive a self-discovery report, or SDR.
Which is an extensive 6-chapter breakdown of your psychological profile.
Every single SDR contains what the guide calls the core therapeutic reframe. The exact wording used in the source material is incredibly powerful.
I love this part.
It tells the user the fact that you hurt means your relationship matters to you. It's the part that cares so deeply about connection that it hurts when connection is threatened. But sadly, that's not when you're easiest to love.
Not when you're easiest to love, wow.
That hits hard because it is universally true. Our most desperate attempts to feel loved usually manifest as behavior that pushes our partners away.
It's the great tragedy of relationships.
But getting this profound insight in a clinic with a therapist is one thing. How on earth is a website delivering this level of personalization to thousands of people at once?
That is the magic of the back-end tech.
Trusting an AI with my deepest relationship vulnerabilities, doesn't that feel a little dystopian or at least highly impersonal?
It would feel impersonal if they were using standard, generic email marketing tools. But this is where the platform's back-end is truly innovative.
Yeah, let's get into the tech engine.
It is powered by the Anthropic Claude API, specifically utilizing their Haiku model.
Haiku is known for being incredibly fast, right?
Yes, Haiku is essentially a lightning-fast version of the AI designed to handle massive amounts of text and logic almost instantly. Instead of dumping you into a generic email campaign that just drops your first name at the top of a pre-written template, Claude uses your unique data to write something entirely new.
So it takes your specific wound, your exact triggers, your partner's name, and your unique creature, and it generates completely unique 80 to 150 word weekly coaching emails.
Called empathy prompts.
And what blows my mind is that it manages to write them in the warm, conversational, slightly poetic Irish voice of Figs O'Sullivan himself.
The result is a user experience that creates a profound sense of being truly seen by the system, rather than just being processed by it.
I want to share a specific example from the source text of a prompt generated for a pursuer, just to illustrate how specific this gets.
Please do.
It reads, Sarah, that thing where you see Mike go quiet and your chest tightens, that's not you being annoying. That's you caring so much that silence feels like abandonment. What if, just once today, instead of asking Mike what's wrong, you said, I'm feeling scared we're not okay right now. Same need, different door.
The precision there is astonishing.
Same need, different door.
The AI seamlessly weaves together Sarah's specific alarm emotion, her negative self-view, the fear of being annoying, and her specific protective behavior of demanding answers from Mike.
It's totally personalized.
It then offers a highly tailored micro-intervention.
Right.
Same need, different door. It is therapeutic guidance scaled through technology.
And from a purely operational standpoint, translating all this complex psychology through AI has completely transformed how they run the platform.
Oh, the business win is massive. By moving their systems to the Anthropic Batch API, which allows them to process thousands of these personalized prompts efficiently during off-peak hours and routing them through an email platform called Brevo, they achieved something remarkable.
A cost savings.
They dropped their operating costs from over $500 a month on their old clunky platform to roughly $60 a month.
That is wild.
They reduced costs by 75%, while exponentially increasing the quality, nuance, and personalization of the therapy they are delivering. It is a massive triumph of scaling access to mental health tools.
Okay, so you have your personalized report. You are receiving these incredibly insightful weekly emails. But the guide emphasizes that the single highest leverage moment in the entire experience happens next.
Multiplayer mode.
Inviting your partner to take the quiz.
A waltz inherently requires two people. You can understand your own steps perfectly, but until you see how they interlock with your partner's steps, you are only seeing half the dance floor.
How does the invite work?
The system actually uses partner one's emotional data to have the AI write a highly compelling custom invitation to partner two.
So it uses what it knows about me to invite my partner.
Right. It is careful not to give away partner one's secrets or vulnerabilities, but it speaks directly to the emotional depth of the experience, encouraging partner two to join the process.
And if they do accept that invitation, boom, you unlock the relationship report.
The ultimate map.
The system takes your two individual waltzes and maps exactly how they interlock into one giant shared cycle of conflict.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the Empathi Guide identifies 3 possible couple dynamics based on the aggregated data.
And the most common one is staggering.
Making up 75% of all couples is the pursuer plus withdrawer dynamic.
One reaches out aggressively and one retreats defensively.
That dynamic creates a tragic, self-fulfilling loop. The pursuer feels anxious and reaches out to fix the connection, but their reaching often sounds like criticism to the withdrawer.
Which sets off their alarm.
That perceived criticism triggers the withdrawer's alarm, causing them to retreat to find safety. The withdrawer's retreating looks exactly like abandonment to the pursuer, which triggers their deepest fear and causes them to reach even harder, often getting louder.
Round and round they go.
But the therapeutic reframe the report offers here is beautiful. They do this because the relationship means that much to them. They are actually a highly attuned emotional system. They just don't realize their coping mechanisms are triggering each other's deepest fears.
Then you have the second dynamic, the pursuer plus pursuer.
That is a lot of energy.
All fire, all intensity, two people yelling, desperately trying to be heard over one another. The gift of this dynamic is incredible passion and fierce commitment, but the risk is rapid, destructive escalation.
Fights burn incredibly hot and fast.
The key insight for a pursuer-pursuer couple is that they have to learn to literally take turns pausing. Someone has to be brave enough to stop escalating and show their soft underbelly, their vulnerability first.
The third dynamic is the withdrawer plus withdrawer.
Which sounds peaceful, right?
On the surface, if you look at these couples from the outside, they seem incredibly peaceful. They don't yell. They don't burn the house down over dirty dishes. They might just sit on opposite ends of the couch, silently reading.
And it's an illusion.
But that peace often masks a vast emotional distance. Their calm rationality is frequently just emotional avoidance dressed up to look like maturity.
Ouch.
The vital insight for them is learning the courage to gently turn toward each other and actually reach out for connection, rather than just settling for a peaceful, disconnected roommate situation where neither person feels truly known.
The Empathi system ties all of these complex dynamics together with an actionable framework they call the 4 tasks.
It breaks it down so simply.
Task 1, see the waltz. Recognize the pattern when it starts happening right there in your living room. Task 2, hear the music, meaning get underneath the surface anger or silence to hear the vulnerable fear that is actually driving the behavior.
Task 3 is crucial. Own my steps.
Stop blaming your partner for the entire fight and take responsibility for your half of the dance.
And task 4 is love and comfort. Stepping out of the cycle to actually offer reassurance.
Completing those tasks requires a profound shift in perspective.
It really does. It teaches couples to stop looking across the room and seeing each other as the enemy. Instead, they learn to stand side by side and view the waltz itself as the enemy.
So what does this all mean? For you, listening to this right now, thinking about your own relationships.
It's a lot to process.
Are you a relentless lover, always poking and prodding to make sure everything is absolutely okay? Or are you a reluctant lover, retreating to the safety of your own mind the second conflict sparks?
The biggest takeaway from this entire deep dive into the guide is that our bad behavior in love, the yelling, the shutting down, the nagging, the coldness, is almost always just a misguided, highly predictable attempt to feel safe with the person who matters most to us.
It requires an often uncomfortable level of critical thinking about our own emotions to actually accept that.
It is always so much easier to point a finger at our partner's flaws than it is to examine our own protective mechanisms. But when you can clearly see your own 1, 2, 3 step, you finally gain the power to actually change the dance.
Which brings us to a final, slightly provocative thought to leave you with today. We've spent this time exploring how a 5-minute digital quiz and a highly optimized AI language model can flawlessly map out our deepest, most agonizing relational wounds.
It's incredible tech.
It can predict our exact conflict waltz step by step and even write the perfectly tailored coaching email to de-escalate it. If an AI can decode our emotional triggers and coach us through our fight so perfectly now, what does the future look like?
This raises a fascinating question about the trajectory of this technology. If an AI can already do all of this via email based on a short quiz, how long until the AI becomes a real-time mediator sitting right in our living rooms?
Will there be a day when our smart speakers listen to us arguing about the dishwasher, interrupt us, and tell us that our inner creatures are just scared?
Will we eventually start arguing with the AI instead of each other?
It kind of makes you rethink every disagreement you've ever had and who or what might help you solve the next one. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the world around you, keep looking for the music beneath the noise, and we will catch you next time.